Ladies and gentlemen, you are live with Clutching Our Pearls. For those of you that are joining us via podcast, you missed us looking super cute. Catch us on social media. But my name is Marie, and welcome to Clutching Our Pearls. And I'm happy to have my co-host.
I'm Suzi Shattuck.
This is a podcast for the revolution. We have all survived 2020 and its fringe benefits. And as a single mom and an entrepreneur and somebody without a lot of patience most of the time, when I saw what was happening to parents and to people that had dedicated their lives to doing what they were told to do, get a degree, go to work for 20 years, and you'll work your way up. I promise you'll only hit that glass ceiling 14,000 times. I saw what was happening in the feminine recession, in the diversity recession, and I lost my shit. I broke as a human. And what came back together from those broken parts is the revolution. And this is a mission that is going to rebuild this world in a new and equitable way, to fight back against not only the female recession, but those parts of the patriarchy. And I love the patriarchy sometimes. You did some hard work. It's time to change shit. But to give the power back to parents and caregivers so they can take control of their lives and create a life that works for them. And to call out onto the carpet all of the things that we have swept under the rug, ignored because it was just easier not to look them dead in the eye and take back our power. This is your warning. We use bad words. Some of us are prouder of it than others, but there will be no edit to this podcast.
There's going to be fucking swearing.
Welcome to Clutching Our Pearls. Today, I am thrilled beyond words to introduce you to Jenette Jurczyk. And we're talking about the power of your story. Jenette received her BFA and her MBA from the University of Illinois. She's got, hopefully, no more school bills left, but I doubt that's the case. That's a lot of college, and she did it hard. She's lived and worked in New York and Los Angeles as an actor, a writer, a director, and a producer before settling in the exotic land of Central Illinois with her rocket scientist husband and two daughters. She serves her community through organizations like the United Way and the Junior League of Champaign-Urbana, where she has served as the president. And she's also co-founder and president of The Family Room, an organization to support foster parents and children in her community. Yes, she does not stop. Jenette joined the That's What She Said team in 2015 as a creative director on live shows in the Champaign-Urbana area. She's a motivational speaker and a trainer, and let's just say a few people know her name. She's kind of a big deal. She was named 40 Under 40 by Central Illinois Business Magazine and Outstanding Woman to Know by the Illini Radio Group, and One of My Favorite Broads by Marie Hale. Welcome, Jenette Jurczyk.
Well, thank you so much for having me, and I really enjoy my new title, Stamp of Approval by Marie Hale herself.
I'll make you like a plaque and maybe like something for your desk. Later, we'll get tattoos. It'll be great.
Absolutely.
Just right across the forehead.
Right here.
Yeah.
Stamp of approval.
So hot.
We learned in our last podcast that that's where kids are doing it now. Hit the neck, hit the forehead. Make sure that everybody sees your tattoo before you get anything below the clothing.
That's a trend now.
You can try it. I don't want to dash your dreams.
I'll save that one for another time. Thank you. But thanks so much for having me and having this opportunity to share what I do and why I love what I do and how I empower women through their personal storytelling. It has been like the true passion, purpose, mission of my life when I found That's What She Said and got to got to figure out the trajectory of this organization and this mission. And it's just growing like balls because women need to stand up and tell their story, period. It's just, we can't stop it.
I'm just going to take that comment and say, gentlemen, balls get longer. Lady bits do not.
Well, some lady bits do, but
true.
I mean, that 36 longs. Okay, I have to give credit where credit is due. That joke belongs to Carrie Rosso, my co-host on the She Said Project podcast. That is her favorite line of all time. And it was very appropriate, so I had to share.
It's good. I will say that I want to give credit where credit is due and say that Jenette and I were introduced by one of my favorite humans. Yes. One of my very first clients when I was a babypreneur, Dr. Frank Sutter, who has left us for the exotic land of Holland with his adorable husband. And we are both entirely bitter. Or is it the Netherlands?
They're in Amsterdam. And part of it is because of what you talked about. Like they saw the recession coming. They saw, the changes in freedom and creativity and work-life balance. And they chose a better lives for themselves. And I really can't blame them, though I miss them terribly.
Yeah, I think I know we get to keep them forever, which is a blessing. But man, do I love some Frankie time. So Frank, if you're out there listening, and you fucking better be. We miss you and we love you, and thank you for
We're going to shout out where shout outs are due. Absolutely. And I'm so grateful that Frank made the introduction back when he was opening his chiropractic practice in Chicago. You and I met at several events. You were taking the sales and marketing world by storm. I was at the time just trying to figure out where I fit in Central Illinois and what I was going to do with my life. And I think I found it.
I think you might have nailed it. And I do miss our beloved drinking time at the Harvard Business School events that he would have, where he would just invite us so that we could get free cocktails and hang out.
It's my favorite.
He's not at Harvard anymore. It's fine. But Jenette, I want to come back to you because what you are doing is so needed in this world, and is been such a part of what should have been the organic culture and never got the opportunity to truly have its light. Can you tell us a little bit about That's What She Said?
I would love to. That's What She Said is a live one-night performance by and for the women of your community. It started in Champaign, Illinois by 3 friends who just wanted to do something crazy to make the world a better place for their daughters. And they got inspired to create a safe space for women to share stories. That is the core mission. The mission is exchanging stories. And we have seen again and again that the results are nothing short of extraordinary. It was one night, then it became a second event, then it became a third event, then it grew, then there were other events and parties surrounding the show. And today, That's What She Said has been in Champaign since 2013. We're going into our second show in Bloomington, Illinois. We're launching in 6 more communities in 2022. And we now have a teen empowerment program called That's What Teens Say. We have the She Said Project podcast. We have a Shoe Said project to empower women in other countries through the gift of shoes. Yes. We have so many pieces to our mission, and it all falls under the core umbrella of sharing personal stories, because it is by and through our stories that we as women and as humans truly deeply connect on a deeper level, make those bonds that make life worth living when we laugh together and when we cry together and when we create safe space for other women to be heard. It's the most powerful mission, and I'm so grateful to be part of it.
And why do you think one of the most primal parts of human society, storytelling, is hot and trendy right now? Like, it's like the foundation, I think, of community, and yet we're learning about it now? Explain.
That's so true. I have often thought I could go and get like a PhD on with all this data that I have on women's storytelling. And you're so right, Susie. It is the basis of so many civilizations and communities. And yet it is having this resurgence right now. Storytelling for business, storytelling for marketing, storytelling for networking. I mean, storytelling is the age-old tradition of how culture and tradition and history was passed down for centuries. We didn't have documentation and writing. Everything was through the oral passing of stories. And so I think we got away from it when we started publishing books and, creating libraries and having all that wonderful documentation, but we lost the power of speech. We lost the power of just sharing from the heart. And I think there is a resurgence, and we're definitely doing our part for it to encourage women to share those stories that they don't talk about every day. Let's just start there. I mean, there's the stories that you bring to the cocktail party. There's the stories that are the nice, small talk. How are the kids doing? Great. Hubby's working late? Yeah. But what we say, that's what she said, it's the party after the party. When the shoes come off, the hair comes down, you're pouring your third or fourth glass of wine, and the real stories come out. The things that make life awkward, uncomfortable, interesting, passionate, funny, horrific, sad, traumatic, all of it is this weave of human nature and human experience that we all share. And in community in general, we stay on the surface and we talk about the everyday niceties. And when you go deep, like you connect with people who've been there before, and then you don't feel alone, or you enlighten someone who's never known what that's like before, and you create compassion and empathy, and that has the power to change the world. So stories have extreme power, but our society doesn't allow space for them. And so part of the mission of She Said is creating that space.
And I think, not to go all sales coach hippie on you, but when you consider that words are only 7% of our ability to influence, that tonality is 38% and body language is 55%. When we started doing storytelling just in a written format, how much interpretation did that give to the person reading it? Yeah. And golly gosh, do we think that any part of our history might have been altered by somebody who was putting a book into its next line of prints? No.
You're right. Histories that have been interpreted and reinterpreted and reinterpreted, the stories change over time. And how many times have you gotten an email that you were offended by because you misread the tone of the email? So much gets lost when you're only one-dimensional on the page, right? So
I think I have to push back against you, Marie, a little bit, because I have a 12-year-old and an 11-year-old in my house, and there's no way that words are only 7%. Holy crap. They don't stop.
Well, no, it's the physical writing of the words. They're saying it in ways and acting it out in ways that have extra impact, because I've got to tell you, I've been in a nonstop experience of my daughter's inner monologue for several months during the pandemic. And I miss her friends, because there is some stuff a 9-year-old should just not say to their parents, because you're going to want me to love you and feed you. And I love that she can tell me anything. It's beautiful, and I want to keep that. I just would like to have some spread out resources.
And that's what
you're that stuff.
That's what you're creating for parents who are stuck in this world of working and teaching and momming and all the things. And Susie, you hit the nail on the head. Those teens and tweens in your house, when they're expressing themselves, they're using all the forms. They're using the body language, the tonality, the energy in their voice, and they're using emotion. It's really hard to write emotion, and the best writers do it, and they do it well. But emotion is one of those most powerful things that come out when you're doing storytelling. And I think that's why storytelling has taken off in marketing and sales and networking, because you know the saying, people don't always remember what you say, but they always remember how you made them feel. So if you can tie a story to an emotion, you're giving something someone can take with them and create memory. And therefore your brand, your face, your story, your moment together will last longer because of the emotional impact that they had, not necessarily because of what you told them.
100%. 100%. And I think right now, in where we've come as a society, so many of us have lost our narrative. We've lost our identity. We're trying to figure out how to message everything from "Mom, I'm not going to go back to work" to "I don't know why I don't fit in anymore where I was in my work life." How can we help reconnect women and those that have been impacted to their story and to make sure that they feel like it's got value?
That's so important. When you take ownership of your story, you're nurturing that value. You're nurturing that self-worth. When someone listens to your story, when they listen with acceptance and compassion and no judgment, that is that moment of validation that we all crave, whether you fucking believe it or not. You crave it. Everyone craves that moment of validation and that moment when they feel heard, accepted, and that they belong. I crave it. I crave it all the time. I'm not afraid to admit it. And I'm constantly creating and recreating opportunities for me to connect with a friend I haven't seen in a really long time, or, you know, create a presentation where I get heard, because I know that that feeds my soul and I need it. And I think people get caught up in, well, it makes me look too cocky. No, it doesn't. It makes you human. And so I think listening is just as important as doing the actual speaking, wouldn't you say?
It's not a skill that many possess. Susie?
But I think it's a skill we take away from ourselves, you know, like when I started my business, you know, it's like my old Sacramento business. I was like, okay, and fake face, and I'm a grown-up business lady professional, and I'm going to have this kind of hair and this kind of clothes. And I was like stacking all this fakeness because I didn't feel qualified. I didn't feel ready. I was like, and so I propped myself with all this fakeness, and then I had to unlearn that and like take it off and get vulnerable. And I was terrified to get vulnerable and be a business owner and be a female business owner in tech. You know, it was like vulnerability was terrifying. So how do people get vulnerable and keep safe and get their message across?
I think that word you hit on too, vulnerability, is also very trendy right now, because people are starting to realize that realness makes you so much more attractive than all of that fakeness that we create, that image that we put out there, right? That authenticity and that vulnerability is so much more interesting and fascinating and exciting to work with.
And so real and spicy and good and interesting.
All of the deliciousness. Yeah. We say during the process, so I take women through a process where they develop their personal story and get it ready for the stage. And the 3 tenets that I always use is, and we use this with the teen girls as well, but it's find your story, own your story, share your story. And there's that important piece in the middle. Like, everyone has a story. Everyone has a story to tell. Everyone has 10, 20, 10,000 stories of moments in life that they could share for something that would be an interesting performance. But owning your story is a whole different ballgame. Making sure that you are the lead character in the story you're telling. So many women are quick to give credit outside of themselves, but make sure that you own your own story before you share it. And I love saying that make sure you're the lead character when you're getting ready to tell your story. It's really easy to put other characters in your story.
And also not just the hero, but like to show where you fucked up and how you recovered and all of it.
In fact, our favorite thing is when someone says, we ask someone to be in the show, and they say, me, I don't have a story. What would I tell? That is like gold to my ears and our producers and our team, because that is someone who doesn't know their own value. And when you sit with someone who has that mentality and you start listening, and all these wonderful stories emerge, and you can pick your fill, but so many women walk around thinking, I don't have anything to share or to give. Who would listen to me? And my favorite job is to make women believe that that's not true.
You're like, oh, you are stuck in a cocoon. Let's butterfly.
Yes.
Well, and I think that there's listen, I grew up a show kid. We're not going to lie. I played Lady Macbeth in 7th grade.
Of course you did. Of course you did.
Of course you did.
I like a good stage, but excuse the...
We're being real, people. This is real life.
It's fun. But for those that deal with the anxiety of putting themselves out there, how do you support them through that and show them that the world is conspiring on their behalf?
On their behalf.
Is
absolutely. So we have seen over and over again a woman who worked really hard in writing her story, who was terrified of standing in front of a microphone and sharing, and took one step, then took another step, then found herself in front of that microphone, then read her words, shaken, knees knocking, and kept reading, and took a breath and kept reading some more. And then when you hear the audience respond, when you hear someone laugh at your first joke or clap at your first triumph, you build confidence, and you build a little more confidence. And then you're in this overwhelming moment where we accept you exactly who you are, exactly where you are. So we don't actually look for polished speakers. We're not looking for people who've already done this 100 times. We want this to be a transformative experience where you're getting out of that shell. And I am a public speaking coach and consultant, and I have lots of wonderful exercises from my theater career that I bring to the rehearsal process to help women think on their feet and feel strong and confident and creative in the moment.
Yeah. And I think one of the things that everyone forgets is generally everybody in the audience, be it digital or live or partially nude, depending on your mental state,
whatever,
they're all usually pretty happy it's not them up there, right? Because they're just as scared as you are. And there's something so beautiful about being able to take a moment and embrace, if there is something weird that happens, like calling that shit out and being like, oh, I just tripped over a mic cord. Y'all saw my underwear. Nice to meet you. Like,
say it for what it is. Absolutely.
Because we're all in the same experience together. And I think that kind of brings it back full circle, is we all have the same experiences, and the experiences that we don't get to have individually are what connects us to the human spirit and to learning more about who we are and how we need to show up in this world to be the kind of change that you want to be.
So the women who've been through the show with me, the stories that have happened after this experience are just as powerful. The women who've taken their story and wrote a book, the women who've taken their story and gone and spoke to other groups and church groups and empowered others, the woman who stood on the stage terrified to tell her story of coming out and figuring out that she was still God's child, even though her whole life she was told she wasn't. We just found out there was a woman in the audience that night who heard her story, went to her church because our speaker shared that her church was a place of welcoming and love and forgiveness. And they are now engaged because she stood on that stage and told her story. So the power of sharing these stories does not end with one night. We are just opening the door and setting the stage and saying, go for it. And yes, we've had people trip and fall, and we've had people lose their place in their page. I mean, we love Jennifer Lawrence because she tripped up the stairs on the way to accept her Oscar. And people asked her if she did it on purpose, because all of a sudden she became 10 times more lovable because she's real, right? Yeah. Nobody wants to see the polished, made up Hollywood starlet. They want to see the person beneath.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think we're all fatigued. We're all insta fatigued. We're all just at the point of, like, we've all, okay, listen, I'm going to pull it right now. This is the cute top. No bra.
Show me.
These are the jammy pants.
I love it.
And that's as far as I got, besides a toothbrush and some lipstick today. So
we are all in our same version of that outfit, my friend. We're all right there with you.
And got army coat and cargo shorts.
But hey, at least we can say none of us whipped it out and started banging away during the webinar today.
Not yet.
It's one step too far, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case
We didn't pull a tube in.
the line is.
We still have some level of decorum and decency somewhere.
From the neck up.
Level.
So, Jenette, if you were to give a closing remark here, a woman who feels like she has lost herself, who feels like she has no story to tell, and needs a place like this, the She Said Project.
Come on board. What would I empower them with? All right. Yeah. We're going to close with a simple yet very effective exercise. So we've all heard of mantras and affirmations. You've probably heard them called I am statements. So I'd like you, Marie and Suzi, and anyone who's joining us today, think of an I am statement that is really comfortable for you to say out loud. And it might be, I am kind. I am a good friend. I am organized. No, that's not mine. But whatever your comfortable I am statement is, I am friendly. Go ahead and think of one of those here that you can say and feel very comfortable and proud of saying it. So Suzi, Marie, I'm giving you like 15 seconds. I'm going to ask you to say your I am statement that feels really good. And I'll go ahead and start and say, I am a great cook.
I am a ferocious badass that is changing the world.
Nice.
I am intimidated to follow what she said.
Nope, say your own.
Okay.
I won't let you. Something that you are actually comfortable with. Don't.
Okay. I feel nervous. Oh my God, that's weird.
No, it's not weird. It's absolutely normal. But that's why I'm starting with something that you're comfortable with. You're a great programmer. You're a great student. You're a wonderful friend. Thank you, Ryan Spicer. I am resourceful. What's something that feels comfortable for you to say about yourself?
I am compassionate.
Beautiful. Beautiful. You can own that, right? Now, fill in the I am statement with a word that is not as comfortable, but that you wish you were a little bit more of. What's the word that, God, if only I could be a little bit more confident, a little more brave, a little more outgoing. What is the word that if you said I am, it would be a stretch, but it would feel really good if you put that into action, right? So 15 seconds. Think of your I am statement that feels a little bit comfortable to say out loud. I see Ryan jumped in with I am ready to grow. That's a good one. Not everyone is change is not everyone's favorite thing. So you've got to be ready for change, right? So Marie, can you think of something that's a little bit outside your comfort zone?
Girl, I already went there.
I know. You've done the work. You've done the work to get yourself there. But there's got to be one more thing that you would say that's less comfortable to say. And maybe it's a softer goal. Maybe it's I'm a good listener, or I'm a patient mother, or whatever that extra goal could be for yourself. Like there are so many women I meet that the statement I am confident or I am worthy is hard for them to say out loud and believe it, right? So let's just go with I am worthy. So for all of our friends, no one is watching you. This is a judgment-free zone. I want you to stand up with your hands on your hips, your chest out, your chin held high. Take a deep breath in.
I can't do it in my...
Breathe into your vagina. It's my favorite. Breathe deep into your vagina. And say out loud with meaning and conviction, I am worthy.
I
am worthy. Yes. And then say it again and say it again until you believe it. So for any woman out there who's not 100% convinced that she is amazing and badass, find that statement that if only I was just a little bit more something, and put it into an I am statement and say it out loud, but take up space while you do it. Give yourself permission to take up space with your voice, with your body, with your emotion, with your energy. We got no time to live small, Marie. We got no time.
Who are we to live small? We are all God's children. We were born to shine. Mary Ann Williamson. Boom.
Yeah. So that's how I empower women to get on the stage and speak from the heart.
Well, now I feel like I need to level up just a little bit more.
Oh my God.
Has been
right, and you deserve it.
The ball.
You deserve to wear a crown today.
Absolutely.
I mean, I love this conversation. And I will tell you that I am not out there for empowerment for the sake of empowerment. If you've heard me speak, you know that I believe people should have money and choices, and that is power. You don't need anyone to give you power. This is your chance to take it. Take your power. It is there for you, and you have a revolution behind you that is ready to lift you up, to steady you when your knees shake, and to love you when you fall down and pick you back up again. Jenette, I want to thank you. I also want to say that Jenette is one of our experts in the revolution. She is the embodiment of a revolutionary. And we are going to be launching a series for you on how to reconnect with yourself and how to find your story and how to be empowered in telling this new story that we all have to tell and how that relates to your personal brand. Because whether you want to go back into the corporate world or not, whether you want to start your own jam, or whether you want to get your mother-in-law off your fucking back because you've decided to do something totally different, you need to know what your personal brand is and have your I am and have your vaginal breathing ready to go. So please watch out for that on all of our social media streams. I would like to, again, I mean, we're just going to genuflect for hours, but I would love to hear from each and every one of you what you took away from this. Leave it in the comments on the podcast, reach out to us via social. Make sure that you check out Jenette on Twitter at She Said Project and on Instagram at She Said Project. And of course, her website, She Said Project. Notice consistent branding. And I also want to say that there were so many gifts in what Jenette presented today. She did not get born into the world at this level. She did the work. There is beauty in the work, and there is beauty in learning vaginal breathing. So thank you. Suzi?
Is vaginal breathing real?
It absolutely
Is it like spiritual vagina or is it like physical vagina?
So in my theater training, there's a lot of wonderful breathing exercises, and you breathe really deep into the pit of your gut, into your stomach.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a college professor who told me to breathe into my vag, to be honest. I think I added that bit. But I work with women. I work with women, preparing them to stand on stage and perform. So yes, if you can use that visual, you're going to get the breath where it needs to go.
You're going to get it. I mean, you are a phenomenal teacher. And you know what? I was expecting to get like performance vulnerable. I was not actually expecting to get truly vulnerable. And thank you, Jenette. I never want to stop talking to you. Whenever we have a phone call, I don't want it to end, and I adore you, and I'm so happy that you are in our world and in our revolution. I cannot wait for your events, and thank you. So
here they come.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you. What?
No, I said here they come. As the world opens up, that's what She Said will be live on stage in a bunch of new cities in 2022 and growing.
So go ahead. All right, so I'm gonna close this out. Make sure that you come to FWD Revolution and join the member portal. It is free, and find amazing resources like Jenette to help you craft your life exactly the way that you want it. Speaking of which, the journey of the V, the stigma, power, and glory of the with Danielle Goss is coming next. And what's so exciting about this upcoming podcast, and I'm going to grab my prop of her latest book, Veggie Tales, Tales from Down Under, or Memoirs from Down Under, available at Amazon, is a beautiful story of her personal journey and her connection with her mother during the journey of her becoming a woman. And we are going to have both Danielle and Colleen, who was my drama mama when I was in 9th grade, on. And then the following week, we're going to have her 2 beautiful feminist daughters on to talk about what it means to be raised by a feminist to be a feminist. Thank you all so much. Please continue to connect with us. Tell the world about Clutching Our Pearls. And please share your vaginal breathing stories.
Thank you, Suzi. Thank you, Marie. You were both amazing and inspirations to me.
We love you, Jenette.
Love you too.
Breathe deep.